when there was half an hour left on the clock, Leinster started to go heavily to the bench with Harry replacing his brother at out half, Kelleher on for Dan Sheehan, and at tight head, Michael Alatoa making way for Cian Healy, who is becoming only the fifth player to make 100 appearances in Europe's premier competition. And while I thought he did have some good moments, his cameo here, Mark, I thought we'd take a moment to reflect over his career. He was a wee slip of the lad at 21 when he started the 2009 Heineken Cup final in Murrayfield. Needless to say, he's been a big part of the successful spell since.
Listen, the guy's a legend, an absolute living legend, and I know that word is thrown around a lot and bandied about, but he's been through the ringer as a rugby player. You know, you say a slip of a lad at 21. I wasn't a small lad at 21, but I certainly didn't have about 18 years of gym work behind me like Cian Healy had. He might have had a baby face, but he certainly had a lot of gym time behind him that stood him to good stead. He's a player who has oscillated through his career from being a destructive loose head scrummager to being an amazing ball carrier when he was younger, and his game has sort of changed as the year gone by. He's had some real problems with his ankles. You remember there's 3 or 4 years there where he basically thought he was a polar bear because his feet and boots were covered in white tape holding him together, and he had a couple of years during his career where I would have been quite critical of him. I thought he was probably spending too much time in the gym and not mobile enough. And then all of a sudden, an absolute resurgence around the 2017 Lions, where he was massively unlucky with injuries not to go, and 2013 as well. You know, he's a guy, if it wasn't for bad timing and injuries, and he probably would have 3 or 4 Lions tours behind him, a stalwart of Irish and Leinster rugby. And to change from whatever about Porter changing sides in the scrum from loose head to tight head and then back to loose head, to play probably 20 years at loose head prop, and then for the last portion of your career to change to tight head prop. And yeah, you get a bit of trouble with Mr. Ruskin there for 1 or 2, and he's going to get his feet and he's going to get his hip height and position wrong every now and again because he doesn't have that muscle memory in the bank that he does at loose head. But my God, he's had a resurgence into his early and mid 30s here, and I think he might retire after the World Cup. You never know, but an absolute living legend, as you said, in terms of Leinster and Irish rugby. And not only will people put up that, I think that, as you said, the 5 people that have 100 appearances in Europe, I think they're all Irish as well. Yeah. You know, which is another thing to be commended by the IRFU and how they manage players through their careers, and I think I think Cian Healy's a testament to it as well.
Yeah, for the record, that's Ronan O'Gara is top on that list with 110, and then you've got Gordon Darcy, Peter Stringer, and John Hayes all with 101. So a couple more matches, Churchill overtake the 3 of them. What do you make of it? What do you make of him, Conor?
There's not many players who, can walk out on a field every week with 4 stars on his chest and know that he's got the 4 medals to back it up when he gets home as well. There's, in fact, I don't think there's any except Johnny and Rob Carney was the other one who was part of all 4. He's still at that top level, and he's still out there putting in a shift every week. I actually got reminded of one night sitting in the South Stand watching, and Healy was subbed that night, and he called Luke McGrath over, put him over his shoulders, and just started squatting with him. Just demonstrate how much of a freak he really is. Just quite impressive to watch him, squatting an extra human on top of everything he's got himself. He is, you're right, Mark, that legend is a word that does get bandied about too easily. And I think, you look at the way, particularly for Ireland, that John Hayes, we'll all look at him as a legend. And I really hope that when Cian Healy decides to hang up his boots, that we're looking at him the same way. Okay, he's not the one who was locking out a particular side of the scrum for decades, it felt like, but consistent work, the willingness, the putting himself on the line, the putting his body. He has those injuries because he put the game ahead of his own welfare sometimes, I think. He's been phenomenal for Leinster, and I'm really hoping we can send him out the right way.
Yeah, definitely. And like Gordon, you talk about his fitness over the years, and like Gordon Darcy told a little anecdote, I think, on ITV when he said he, way back in the day in training, he would stay after training and do drop goals and do extra things like that. And the coaches were afraid he'd pop a hamstring or something. And but he worked so much on his fitness, maybe too much at times, like Mark said. But I think his arrival into the Leinster squad kind of marks the transition, especially for props in that position, from the old school style of prop, which Leinster had in Ollie LaRue. I seem to remember it was a slightly different type of prop, into this Cian Healy, this modern day professional prop who's not just going to focus on his position, not just going to be there for scrummaging, but doing other things around the park as well, getting involved in jackling and ripping balls out of mauls and doing all kinds of things into the modern day prop, to this new reinvented version of him the last couple of seasons, where he's able to switch over to the other side and makes him a valuable asset for Ireland looking into another World Cup. And it's just been an amazing career all around. Like you say, it's easy it's easy for his name to be lost in all the others that have gone ahead of him. But when you look at the way what has happened, how Leinster have done since he came into the team, you definitely have to include him in there.
I can't believe you besmirched Ollie LaRue, who actually has a drop goal in a professional rugby game.
I'm not besmirching anybody. It was a different era. And he was definitely a hell of a lot better loosehead than I was. Anyway, that's for sure. So, no, it was different types of prop. All right, and
one was a gym prop, one was a McDonald's prop. I don't think it was too hard to work out which is
I think
which.
that pretty much sums it up. But no, definitely a great. He's definitely had a great career, and I'm almost brought this topic in just as if he's finished, but he's definitely got a lot more hopefully to go. And he definitely, like I say, he definitely did play a part in this game after he came on.